in a minute.
All right. I'm waiting.
Yes,
we're there. We're live. Okay.
Here we go.
Now I just shared it and everything. Dope.
What's going on? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the True Knowledge virtual session. This is the first kickoff to a monthly session. We'll be going all the way into next year, quite honestly, having a virtual conversation. We had tapped into something special during 2020 and 2021, having conversations with our folks, our friends and familia all over the planet through virtual and hybrid conversations. So we wanted to keep it going this year in celebration, rolling out the 50th year anniversary for hip hop culture on planet Earth. And as we was just saying, it's just a baby. It's just a baby. We just getting started. We have the legendary Wordsworth with us, the one and only, here to kick off this very serious True Knowledge virtual conversation. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad I'm the first one here. So when they get about 100 episodes in, I'll be like, yeah, I was the first one there though. So I was the first one.
Ground level. And it's a reason why. It's a reason why. Shoot, let's bring it in correctly. Let's talk, introduce yourself to those who may not know words, and especially on the hip hop front, but we starting out with the knowledge, and this show is about the impact of hip hop in education today. So let them know why you're here.
I'm Wordsworth from Lyricist Lounge. A lot of people know me from that. EMC, Master Strickland, Punching Words, Lyricist Lounge TV show, Tribe Called Quest album, Black Star album to be notable. And then now I'm a middle school teacher, and Oak Hammock Middle School is where I'm at. And I teach TV production, film production, music production. I create a curriculum there. And then right now, currently I have a curriculum that will be released next month that I licensed to the University of Miami. So it's going to be called Organized Rhyme, and it's going to be me on some modules, and it'll be me teaching you how to become a better songwriter and writing rhymes. So that kind of sums up some of it.
That's huge, bro. Congratulations on that, though, for real.
Thank you.
That's huge. That's huge. And we'll definitely want to know more about that as it rolls out. We'll definitely want to know how we can help support it, how we can get it out in universities and schools this way in Milwaukee. It's a must, and how we can implement some of that right here at True School.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it should be next month, and then I'm excited. I'm excited because it's just something that I guess I thought of doing and didn't know, when it would be done or how to go about it really. But I kind of just I took a shot at it and then it worked out.
Dope. Fidel, we want to share his video and then we'll jump into the interview after that.
Let's do that. Welcome everybody. We're glad you joined us. We're glad you made it. And share it out. Tell your friends. We got words here. This is GOAT level, legendary kickoff to the True Knowledge virtual series. And we're gonna share this new joint called
Skin.
Look at my skin. I'm trying to face the fact I got a target strapped to my skin. I can't make this up, so don't hold it in and pretend. Cause you see the truth, so you know the state that we in. Take a look at it again. Look at my skin. I didn't ask for this, but I'm attached to this from within. His hands up for the handcuffs, still we can't win. From the bloodshed to the graveyard in that pen. Take a look at it again. Look at my skin.
Look at my skin, it ain't painted on. Can't take it off, it's the way I'm born. Can't buy this tan in the can or go to a store and salon and just spray it on. Brown as the trees we was hanging on. Dark as the night when the day is gone. Nope, I ain't gonna just play along. You know my name, but you just wanna say it wrong. Get out the car, Jamal, Jabbar, Jamal, whoever you are. That ain't my name, look all the same. Whoever you are, you charge. Parked outside of my friend's home. Don't call me boy, cause I've been grown. Nothing like what you reported, make sure I recorded it all on my friend's phone. Fill up the seats, keep selling the tickets, whatever to make sure you win home. Only skin tone that they care about, pig skin in the end zone. Where's heaven, cause it's hell. In a grave or in a jail. Feel like I'll never be free. It's like my cell is my skin cells. Seeing our life is irrelevant. Look on the news, is a story developing. Working to keep them from melting my melanin. Putting the bullet from shells in the shell I'm in. My complexion is complex to live within. Take the S, put it at the end. This is for my kins. Look at my
skin. I'm trying to face the fact I got a target strapped to my skin. I can't make this up, so don't hold it in and pretend. Cause you see the truth, so you know the state that we in. Take a look at it again. Look at my skin. I didn't ask for this, but I'm attached to this from within. His hands up for the handcuffs, still we can't win. From the bloodshed to the graveyard in that pen. Take a look at it again.
Love.
Look at my skin.
Look at your skin and look at mine. Peep the perfection and how it shine. Through all the dirt dredged and the bloodshed, ain't no doubting that we divine. No wonder they hate us and treat us less than. Keep us stressed saying, look, eyes open, it ain't hard to see. Stay woke, we ain't free.
Physically, yes, mentally, no. See, they had only put slack in them chains. Now here we go, a newer Jim Crow. So now it's literally back in them chains. Minimum funds, feed us the crumbs, pointing the finger and passing the blame. And what do? Take it, acting like bombs, praying and asking for change.
Same old song and we sing along. All they ever do is switch up the cadence. We want justice, they say be patient, never received it. I'm sick of waiting, knee on our neck while we pin to the pavement. We can't breathe, don't need saving, we need we. I'm not praying, we look weak, I'm just saying.
I got dreams, I got plans. I'm not the one to go promote the violence, but if we grieve for innocent souls, we gon' need more than a moment of silence. Hear me out, I want free without fear. Can I build? We got gifts, we got goals, we got kids, can we live?
I'm not asking, I'm about action, no reacting. My life matter, live on your knees or die on your feet. That ain't no choice, I'm taking the ladder. We been down and got up again. If we keep fighting, then we gon' win. You see the ancestors, my legacy and my kin. When you look at my skin.
I'm trying to face the fact I got a target strapped to my skin. I can't make this up, so don't hold it in and pretend. Cause you see the truth, so you know the state that we in. Take a look at it again. Look at my skin. I didn't ask for this, but I'm attached to this from within. His hands up for the handcuffs, still we can't win. From the bloodshed to the graveyard in that pen. Take a look at it again. Look at my skin.
Woo. Welcome back, everybody. We are True School, Milwaukee Center for Transformative Arts and Hip Hop Culture. And we have a special guest, Wordsworth, with us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Man, that song was amazing, first of all, Skin.
Thank you.
And I want to take a moment to acknowledge that you are a published author. And
thank you.
In this conversation of education, your book, New Beginnings, you actually like broke down your songs and gave like the insight into the words that you were using. I'm wondering if you would take a minute to talk about Skin, the song and video that we just saw.
Yeah. When I got the beat, I just felt like, oh man, this beat is kind of powerful right here. And when I had it and I came up with the hook, I was like, man, you know, I wish I had like Pimp C was alive and like Bun B kind of vibes on it. You know what I'm saying? So that's that hook. I came up with that tone. So shout out to Marcel P. Black that I had met one day. He brought me to a show in Baton Rouge, and I seen Zeus and Bean, the guys that's on the song. Thank you. The guys that's on the song actually rocking in a barbershop. We did a show in a barbershop, it was packed in Baton Rouge, and I was like, yo, these dudes is dope. So just maybe a year later, and I'm just working on the song. I'm like, yo, who could do this up? They came to mind, you know. So I hit him up, and he was like, we went through it. He was like, yeah, and then he filled in the words and he sent that back. I was like, oh, this joint crazy right here. And so they're brothers, Zeus and Bean. So check them out. They put music out and things like that as well. And then yeah, you said the book, get this book Socks I got out right now as well. A kid's book, 100 pages and so. So, but yes, so that song, that's one of my favorite songs I've ever done. Yeah, so.
It's definitely, it goes hard. But when you talked about a process, I'm thinking more of the content and what you hoped to portray in the messaging, or what kind of influence you want that body of work to carry.
Yeah, I wanted to bring you to a scene. One, like, so it's like Jamal. That's kind of like answering the whole vibe of like, we all look the same kind of vibe. You know, brown is the trees we was hanging on, but dark is the night when the day is gone. Nope, I ain't gonna just play along. You know my name, but you just want to say it wrong. So I think there's like a lot of lines in there, like the only skin tone that they care about, pig skin in the end zone. So it's a lot of stuff. So that's part of like, you know, us dealing with the whole Kaepernick things going on there. So pigskin, when all that came about. So it's just a lot of things that I just thought about. We're trying to make sure it was just some deep messages in there that I think can resonate with people, and they can just get it and understand. Because my main thing when writing, honestly, is I want it to be something you could read and it's more impactful than with the track. So that's the thing with the skin lyrics. If you just read them yourself and read them and say them to somebody else, I bet you they will flip after hearing it. And that's kind of how I go about it. And I think it'll make some people realize what's really going on when you kind of go through it, because the verses is in depth, but it's also entertaining at the same time.
Oh, and you're welcome, everybody. You just got a hip hop in the classroom example and educational lesson. So, you know, you didn't just land here in this moment with all these amazing things, being a published author, having been in television, also just being an MC that is recognized and appreciated, and especially excels in the art of freestyling. Like, where were you in your life when hip hop first became a part of you? What did it mean to you for that to be a part of your upbringing?
Man, I got an older sister. My older sister, Kim, she was a part of it first. So she made sure I was looking fly from the clothes aspect. So first, it always starts with that clothing aspect before you really kind of choose what dynamic you want to get into. So the clothing aspect helped me out first. So she made sure I was fly that way. And then she would get the records. And then you know, my mom had that stereo, the big living room joint that you lift the top up and you put on the 45s with the, you know, the speakers on the sides and stuff. One of those big living room things. And once they started buying records, I would say really the Run DMC Here We Go record was like the biggest thing for me, because I would just be able to repeat that. Here we go, the big beat. Here we go. And probably now that I think about it, being that young and hearing that here we go repeat was so easy to say. It was just in rhythm, and just being a young kid, that was really probably the first record that really got me like that. And then, you know, also Top Billin' is one of my favorite records ever. So
you know, what's funny is for me, one of them is Big Mouth, Run DMC. So it's saying things like Big Mouth.
Right.
And it was just boom, it just stuck. I never would look back.
Yeah. It was catchy. It was so easy and catchy, and to be so young, that's what it was about. So
beats and them hard beats, Run DMC just
yeah. So it was,
I'm wondering if I should like age myself and talk about how huge Crisscross was to me when I was young.
Oh man, I mean,
Hammer, Crisscross, like those are my
Crisscross connection for sure.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I can remember every artist that came out and their impact kind of like, and then like kind of figuring out where I kind of wanted to fit in that. So like, I can remember the Run DMC, then I remember, you know, Top Billin', Audio 2, and then like, I remember when LL came out, and then I was like, okay, LL, the way he has his swag with everything but lyrics. And then I remember as I got older with who I wanted to kind of emulate and what I like. And then my favorite kind of as I got older was G-Rap. because the crazy thing was G-Rap was always spoken about by everybody at that time about him being the illest, but he didn't have the records that translated to that crossover appeal. But no matter who mentioned rappers at that time, they would always mention G-Rap. So even to this day, you'll hear people mention him. And that kind of is where I was like, okay, I got to set the bar there for writing. And that's kind of where I kind of compete with that. That's when, in my mind.
Mm, mm. Another lesson for all you artists and MCs out there. It's the art of sampling. You know, we talk about that in the classrooms. We talk about that in not just music production, but in life development. Yeah. You sample different aspects of attributes and qualities and characteristics from people. It could be your uncle, it could be a cousin, it could be somebody you see on your favorite program, it could be one of your teachers. But we all sample different things in this walk. And as artists, as creatives, there's no other way, because you have to study the greats. You have to figure out.
Man. Oh man, you hit it on the nail right on his head. Let me tell you. So when I was in college, there was this book. I think it's something Wallace. I searched it up, and it was like the 3rd edition of this book. And it was for language literature class. But I wasn't reading no books like that heavy. I was like, I'm gonna mess with them, you know. So I remember sitting in the dorm room, like hallway, and I was sitting on top of the chair. Somebody opened this book up. It's like dealing poetry or whatever. When the main things he said is to be one of the best writers, you have to know how to copy everybody's style. That's one of the main things that's written in there. To be the best, you have to learn how to do everybody's style. So then as years went on, me learning, trying to figure out who I am, I just kind of like took certain things from everybody and kind of like said, let me figure me out. So with me talking and being able to explain stuff, I took the KRS clarity, you know? And if you ever see me do a show, I take kind of like that Buster aspect of I'm entertaining people, you know? And then, you know, me writing, I like the deep storytelling of a Nas in there. And then G-Rap, you know, the lyrical standard is that of me. I can kind of point to almost every artist in which I took something and then just kind of made me, and which all those same artists I'm mentioning could point to who made them.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the beautiful lineage in hip hop. You just heard the anatomy of Wordsworth, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. That's dope. That's dope. That's awesome. Just right quick, also, you didn't get here on this call with us coincidentally or accidentally. You got an audience out there. You help blast and support this conversation and help us kick it off. For the folks that don't know, never been to Milwaukee, never heard of True Skool. You've been here, you breathe the air, you know a little bit of what we do. Can you share with your audience, like what you remember at True Skool? What's one of the things that stick out in your mind as far as like Milwaukee and your True Skool experience?
I would say it's like organic, man. Like it's grassroots organic. It's like, it makes sure that not only is it organic, it has these branches to everything. So me coming there, like every time, because me just seeing you sit there too, it's just like, I don't know if that's the same spot, but I do remember walking down the steps, walking through, but left is this going on. Right? This is happening. Over here, we do this. Over here, we do this. Right here is this room where people perform. Right here, we can film this here. And this room over here, this is where we do this. So it's just nonstop, just branches. So it's almost like, honestly, like saying it's organic, almost like when you step on that threshold right there and you walk right across them doorsteps, that's basically the roots. And the roots will be leading out to the city. And then when you come right into the doors of True Skool, that's basically the tree leading to all the branches of what's going on. So if you look at it like that, that's what True Skool is. If you really look at it like that, the doorstep is the roots that lead to everything out there, and everything that's out there is growing, and it comes right in there. So anybody that's ever been to True Skool, you could do DJing, you could do all, you know, DJing, learn how to songwrite. What else? You can learn how to do art, you learn how to merge, and DJing, learn how to songwrite, art, merge. You could musicals, everything that deals with merging the arts together is in there. So there's a branch for everything. And then the other thing is, if it's not labeled there that is happening, you ask somebody, and somebody there could actually teach you that aspect of what you want to do. So it's very, like I said, there's so many branches in there. So That's how I define it. Cause I remember just walking in there, and like I said, something here, something there. Go to the back. I'm doing this back here. We do this here. We do that there. So yeah. So if I had to like describe it, that's what I would say. It should be on the outside. Should be a doormat of just roots.
That's bars, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel like it's worth mentioning, like how excited we were when we found out that you actually gave Fidel and I a shout out in your book.
Oh yeah. I try to remember. If you ever seen my first book shout outs, I try to remember everybody. I try to remember everybody, you know, because it's a journey, even to get to that first book. So I try to remember everybody. It's something with hip hop. So I try to remember everybody that has had an impact on me, where I've been and stuff like that. So despite how many pages it is and what it is, of course I forgot people still. I've even gone back and like added names to people. Yeah, because you could do that and just upload it and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm appreciative of what y'all do, bringing us out to perform, and just overall, you know, every time you have something going on, including me in it.
Yeah. And also you have remained not just like family and friend of True School, but there have been times where I've hit you up like, hey, can I get your advice on this? Or how would you approach this in different projects that we've done, or like educational? I mean, you showed up here today. And so even in, you know, it's a great practice to give credit to those who have influenced you. And, but it's also a great practice to continue growing by exchanging information and, you know, just kind of sharing the work with people and being able to like not be selfish about that. You know, it goes back to what you were saying. Well, both of y'all were talking about sampling. Like sampling don't stop. You keep sampling. And then that's how you continue to get to know your own capacity, because you've done a lot. And going back to like the film and television piece, I'm kind of wondering if you didn't mind going back and talking about that era with Lyricist Lounge.
Yeah.
I'll give you the preface. We had a meeting. We're going to be doing our summer park jam, our celebration on August 12th at the Market Center for Performing Arts. And it's always a practice of ours to talk about what shows they have coming. They'll tell us about artists that we may not be aware of, and we're talking about performing artists, and then we'll do the same thing for them. I mentioned you. They Googled it in real time and then had to spend like 10 minutes being amazed by the show, talking about how they can't believe they did not know about it. And we're talking about the Market Center for Performing Arts is a huge venue for performance. It's world renowned, it's world class. It is it's not a small group of people. It's a big deal, and their whole job is to know the performative arts. And they were just blown that they were not aware of that. And if you had Lyricist Lounge traveling right now, touring right now, I guarantee that's what they would have been trying to do.
Yeah.
So they were super excited that we are in connection with you, and they were excited about this conversation. But you know, what was that like for you in real time?
In real time, when I think about it, it was a lot of learning, you know, because it started for me just doing a freestyle, getting caught on tape. Then a friend of ours named Jake Septimus, he seen the tape and he said, I think this could be a TV show. I'm 20, what am I, 22, 23? And I'm like, all right, man, when you think it could be a TV show, hit me up. I'm like, whatever. Like, I can't even fathom it. Like, you know, a freestyle of me becoming a TV show. It was a skit. It was basically, we were recording the Lyricist Lounge album. And at the time, it was like 30 MCs in one room. So obviously, somebody's gonna rhyme. So my boys, Wise Guy and Gaston, they bring out the radio and to freestyle. And they're known worldwide, and especially in New York, for having the radio with that beat and a camera. So they got the footage probably nobody has. And they had the radio and the camera, and that radio and camera basically changed my life right there. So when the beat came on, I was just trying to think, how can I outdo everybody in here? So I just basically would I pretended that the wall behind me was a chalkboard, and I was teaching people how to rhyme and making an at-home video about rhyming, literally. And everybody in the room raised their hand and started asking me questions in rhyme. Thurston Howell was there, a whole bunch of people, AL, everybody. They asked me, and I'm answering them in rhyme, freestyle. So that was the first skit on tape. So that tape goes to Jake. He's like, this could be a TV show. He set it up. He said, yo, they gave us time to set up a audition. So we fly out there after we write the audition, powerful. And we flew out, did the audition at House of Blues in California on a Friday, heard back Monday that we got a pilot. And that was it. That was it. It's from a freestyle, and it was crazy. So, you know, back then, people don't probably know though, like when you were a rapper or artist, you always got the record deal, then did TV and movies. So I can fathom skipping that record deal part. So that's why when he said it, I just was like, get out of here, because the record deal was always the part to get you to TV and stuff like that. So we wound up getting the deal, and then going from there was just crazy. And then another crazy thing people may not know about it is the fact that normally they don't keep the entire cast a lot of times. So me, Power, and Fool, we wrote it there together. We were from ground up there on the show, or everything together. So we did everything together, lived together out there, and all of that stuff. So
that was just so authentic. They could not replace it or try to, you know, do anything Hollywood style. That was just too authentic. That was too raw.
Yeah, it was dope, man. I mean, just the writing aspect of it. Shout out to Def Jeff. Def Jeff had to make the beats every time, and Def Jeff, people can look him up. You know, you gotta look up Def Jeff. Def Jeff is one of the dopest rappers that we have, producers too, and now he does a whole bunch of other stuff. But I was 20 something. Def Jeff had some years on me, so he had the wisdom to keep all of us kind of tamed, if you would say. You know what I'm saying? Because you know he had been on TV already, you know, with the Patti LaBelle show, Out All Night. So he already experienced a lot of stuff. So without Def Jeff giving us that guidance, I don't know where we would have went. So shout out to Def Jeff, because he's the older brother.
Yeah, that's part of that lineage again in hip hop. You know, him being one of those older pioneering artists, being able to see y'all and help y'all just blaze the trails.
Let me tell you, Def Jeff at that time, all right, this show is 23 years old now. That's how old that show is, right? So Jeff at that time had a laptop and carried the laptop at that time. I wasn't even thinking about a laptop at the time. I wasn't thinking about nothing. I was just like, yo, you know, say an idea. He would not let us say an idea without him wanting to get his laptop. He was ahead of the game with the organization skills and stuff like that. So I take that stuff from him to today, like type it down, write it down. So I got a lot of that from him. And, you know, you never know how those things impact you, but now I see why he was like so adamant about, we got to write it down on the laptop, And that kind of stuck with me.
Yeah, that whole write it down right now, leaving room for that to become art, to become books, to become curriculum, to turn into whatever it's eventually going to be meant to be. Yeah. I've heard you talk about your own experience as a student with hip hop in the classroom. Was it college?
Oh, college? Yeah, college. Yeah.
What was that story?
All right. I wrote a paper in college, and at that time in college, I didn't know how to like quote other pages. I think some people still to this day, when they see that APA, MPA style of writing, people you be hot about that. I'm telling you, I don't know, we be hot about MPA style, APA style, all that. So I'm just like in college, like, all right, they want me to quote it, give the person credit. So I think I quoted it, put it in there, and then you try to switch it up with the words, and they was like, no, this isn't wrong. This isn't right how you quoted it. Even though I had a reference, I just put it in the paragraph. I didn't know what I was doing. And then they wrote like, you know, this could be almost considered plagiarism on it. So one of the biggest offenses as a rapper at that time was like you biting. So that's how I took it. Like, oh, now they're trying to say I'm biting, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm copying something. So from that paper, after that paper, I wrote everything in rhyme. So that's how I graduated college. All my papers went in rhyme after that. Cause I was just like, oh, word, that's what y'all saying? All right. So then I did Intro to Politics in rhyme, a women's feminism class in rhyme. I did Language and Literature in rhyme. I did African Studies in rhyme. I did every paper in rhyme. And to this day, I have those papers still. I have all the papers from then.
That was gonna be my question, bro. You know, I was gonna ask you a
Same
question.
here. I was like, wait, where they at?
Now I actually have them. I even have I was doing a book, and in the book I actually have all the papers in that book. So yeah, I have all those papers, which is I just kind of knew like to keep, and I just kept them in a folder, and I looked them up, and I just kept finding them, and I said I'm gonna keep them. So we talking about over 20 years worth of just like my initial writings of I have posted on Instagram before too. And it's me talking about Public Enemy and one of them, and I'm rhyming everything about Public Enemy and politics and everything like that. So that's how I graduated.
How does that even become acceptable in a college classroom? Who's your professor? Like what, how did that even,
All
who
right.
let you get away with that?
All right. I got to give it up to Dr. Hicks, who I spoke to today. So
No.
she back then saw me doing that, and I guess some professors came to her, and so then she had a meeting with me. And she said, these professors are coming to me saying you're writing everything in rhyme. And I told them to let you do it because it's kind of reminiscent of the Harlem Renaissance. That's what she told her. She said, you know, it reminded me of the Harlem Renaissance and, you know, how Langston Hughes was doing things and W.E. Du Bois and all these people were doing these things going on. And I just want to support you. So she's the one that told them, let me do what I'm doing. So I talked to her this morning. To this day, without her and also Professor Terrell was another professor there. This was a huge monumental moment in my life too, which is kind of how I go about teaching. She's showing Shakespearean sonnets on the board. And she says, Vincent, what do you think about it? I said, it's cool, but it ain't better than Nas though. So this is when Illmatic just dropped. So it's 94, you know? So I'm like, it's not better than Nas. So instead of her like, you know, shunning me, she actually said, nah, okay, what's that? And she walked to her desk and wrote down Nas and the album. So then I was like, all right, cool. And then I handed in a paper, Sir Gawain and Green Knight in rhyme. She said, can I talk to you outside of class? After that, she was like, you know, you should convert all of these. And so those two major moments. And I posted a picture with me with both of them because in 2016, I was honored as the top 50 graduate there at that college. Wow. And it's up to them too. Because this is what I'm saying for people to understand. If they would have shut me down, you do not get me. Mm-hmm. I don't become Wordsworth. My confidence is done. I'm not staying in college. I'm not messing with this. So that same philosophy I use in school now. So when I do projects, I'm very open to whatever you're into, let's do that. You like skateboarding? Let's do it on skate. You like, you know, whatever you're into, that's how I do it. So they taught me that, and that is I think the reason why I'm successful at teaching is because I understand it's a lot of me out there in the classroom.
Powerful, bro. That's a powerful testimony right there. And I can't wait to read those papers / rhymes. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna record them one day.
History book, you mean?
I got them in a PDF on my phone in the book, and I had to do this book before these two books you have here. I actually had another book with a cover already done and everything. So I have them here, man. But I'll send you like a couple to check out. That's
ill, bro. That's ill. Somebody in the chat says, surprise word can still talk without rhyming. That's what Jay Faloria said in the chat.
Yeah, man. I got the name Wordsworth from the Heathcliff, the show Heathcliff, and that's because of the headphones and the cat Wordsworth on there. So all he would do is rhyme at headphones. So anybody that knew me on campus, they say, oh yeah, that's the kid that just walk up and down with headphones on. and rhyming. So yeah.
That's a deep story, bro. So like, this the 50th anniversary. Do you have big plans this year? Talk to the people about anything that you rolling out, anything that you got going on, or what you looking forward to. What does it mean to you for hip hop to be celebrating 50 years young on the planet?
Man, it means to me that there's so much more that's going to occur long after me.
Yes, sir.
There's so much, like, it's already evolved to teaching it in universities. So that means eventually you have to have the university, you have to have these courses. You have to understand that like the pop culture is already in these classrooms and things like that, and they need a way to communicate with the kids, because right now there's a huge gap of how to communicate with the kids a lot. So a lot of people that shunned us back then are now the people that need us to teach the kids. So that's what's occurring. So I'm amazed at it, that all the things I'm doing at this stage of it, I'm like, oh, this is bananas. So like another 20, 30 years, it's going to be something way beyond how hip hop is influencing people. So yeah, you know, it's always a hip hop. Everything I've ever done pretty much deals with hip hop. My first book is hip hop right there in itself. And kind of like what you were saying a few minutes ago, somebody said that surprised I'm not rhyming. That's why I wrote the first book, because the New Beginning book is to give you my narrative voice. So that helped a lot too, for people to like say, okay, he thinks like this, or he may talk like this. When you hear me spit 16 bars, it's cool, it's entertaining, but it doesn't let me elaborate. So that's kind of how it is with that. But yeah, things I got going on, which makes me excited. So next month, the curriculum. So I licensed this curriculum to the University of Miami. It's called Organized Rhyme, and you pay for it and you get to keep it for a year. And it's a non-credited course, so anybody can take it. So I teach you how to freestyle in one course. I got the other 3 courses are actually techniques that I use to write. So one is like a shopping list, another one's like a rhyme grid I came up with, another one is called 3 relatives, a technique that I use to write songs. So you get me, it's me on your screen explaining everything. It's real dope. It's real dope. You get to leave a freestyle. You get to freestyle. You get to play a beat. It's just like super interactive, and so you just pay for it, and then you get it to rock with it for a year. And then another thing coming up is me and the Adventures, me, James Miles, Jay Rawls, and John Robinson. If you've seen us, last year we did South by Southwest EDU. Then we were at Harvard as speakers, and then we did Teach Better conference in Akron a few months ago. So that did so well. This year, we're actually going to be the keynote speakers. So it took me, which that blows my mind. So look out for that. We'll be in Akron I think I think we're going to be in there. We're going to be in Akron later this year as the keynote, which blows my mind because last year when I was at South by Southwest EDU, DMC was the keynote in one of them things. And I was like, man, one of these days I'm going to be up there, you know, because I'm like, okay, there's a reflection of us there. So yeah, so that's what I got going on. Then some other books, and I got
people can, you know, keep up with all of this that you got going on. If people want to tap into the curriculum in a minute, people want to order the books, where can they find everything?
Yeah, the curriculum it's going to be Frost Online. So that's part of Frost is, you know, the Academy of Music that's on at the University of Miami. So it'll be on Frost Online, and you know, check me out on Wordsworth, BKLYN on my Instagram. I'm going to post commercials and stuff like that about it, of course. And then as far as like the books are at Amazon, so you can order the books. The socks book, if you want it in bulk. So right now we got some classes, some ordering it. Some schools have been ordering it for class sets. You can hit me up, and then I'll order it bulk for you, and then you can get it at a discounted price. And I got other things on my mind that I'm doing, but I've learned I gotta one thing at a time. So, but the curriculum thing is what I'm extremely excited about. I can't wait for people to see it because I think it'll make them be like, yo, this is kind of crazy how it's put together, and it's me. I think that's the key to it all for me. It's me. So it's me talking to you. You see me explaining stuff.
That's dope.
That's dope. We definitely going to indulge in that.
Well, so to wrap things up though, I'm wondering if you could speak to the educator and then speak to the student around the importance of hip hop education, and then especially like elements of that can be brought into the classroom.
Okay, so for the educator, I would say do your research. All right, like as far as like, don't be afraid of pop culture, because the things, I'm not into everything the kids are into, but I'm into it because the kids are into it, if that makes sense for everybody, right? I'm not into maybe an artist they like, but I know about the song. I'm not into the clothes they wear, but I know the brands. I'm not into the sneakers they may be wearing, but I know the brands of that too. So just getting involved, knowing the brands, I think doing research to know, it's like knowing your audience. And the kids are our audience. So if you don't know what's going on, you walking up in there, it's not gonna mesh. And then for to communicate with the kids is I would just say when they're walking in the room, ask them what they're listening to. Talk to them. You know, ask them what they're listening to. And then for the kids, I would just say like, just listen to the kids and be flexible. I think you got to be very flexible nowadays because everybody's extremely different. And let them teach you something. I think that's the key to
Right
it
there.
too.
That's right there.
You gotta let them teach you something, and that's why I ask, what's that y'all talking about here? Oh, I ain't know they on that team no more. Well, they got traded. Like sometimes you gotta just get into a regular conversation about stuff they're into, and then it allows them to bond with you, because the bonding is the biggest thing of it all. So you can't really bond without knowing what's going on. So I think we gotta just make sure we're trying to bond so they know what's going on.
Yeah, that relationship building is so key in the classroom. And then just even thinking about the environment that they're walking into. What does it look like? What does it feel like? How are you welcoming them?
Yep.
So let's switch it to the other way. Now you're talking to the young people. You're talking to the ones who are in search of education and trying to navigate the experiences that they have available to them. Not everybody has Mr. Wordsworth, Mr. Johnson as a teacher. What kind of advice would you give to a young person that's on their educational journey?
I would say do what you have to get into education. And then as you have your ideas, you have to figure out how can you integrate your ideas into what's going on already. Don't try to come in and just change the game. You know what I'm saying? Don't just try to come in and change the game, because you kind of have to respect there already was a process that took time to get to this part of the game. So you come in, make sure you listen in, watch how things are developing, and figure out where you fit in that. And one thing I like to live by is don't say something negative without a suggestion. Because you'll have people, I don't like this part in school. I don't like this about that. But then it's like, all right, well, what you want to do? So now you said nothing. So now you just came with a double negative. You came destroying the whole vibe. And then also you don't have something productive. I think it's okay to not like something, but then if you have another way, that's your way, I think you can say it, but respect what's already laid in front of you. Just like we should be respecting artists that came before us. Everything you should always respect what's before you. And then that allows you to be able to bring your ideas to the forefront and your ideas to be respected. So those that's on that teaching journey, be creative, but also pay attention to where you can kind of integrate what you know, what you do. And that goes from, if you do dancing, figure out in that class, if you're in civics, you can probably figure out how to, where did dancing start and the laws of dancing somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like there's things like that. You want to talk about, the laws of dancing, you'd be like, hey, Footloose was a movie that dealt with this. Or there's so many ways of not losing you. So if I was going to say anything to anybody getting an education, you do not have to lose who you are to be an educator.
Well said.
No, that's good stuff right there. That's a great note. And artists, educators, you do not have to lose yourself. That's a great note to end on right there.
For sure. All right, Words, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you,
Thanks for
everybody.
having me.
For sure. And until next time, because I think that Fidel and I are definitely have been brainstorming about connecting all the books, about connecting with you and getting to know these curriculums, also exploring having you as a guest instructor with True School. And we have some ideas, so we'll definitely be in touch on those and keep this relationship going.
Yeah, and I got one more thing. Shout out to my co-writer, Darnell, right? Lamar Richardson did the illustrations. And to get this book done, for those that kind of be wondering, like, you got a whole bunch of ideas and difficult to get things done, we did like an accountability group on Zoom, and we was on there 6 months straight, every 2 weeks. So that's how, if people wonder how I get a lot of things done, is because I join up with somebody that's just as motivated as me, and we set that every 2 weeks, whatever we need, and that's the update until it's done. So I would suggest you find a partner and y'all stay on them Zooms until that thing is done.
So
No excuses, no barriers.
Yeah.
This is 2023 hip hop. Boom.
all right, Fidel, what are we trying to plug here? Because we're gonna be doing this monthly. So do we have a set Friday that we're doing every month?
Yeah, last Friday, every month we plugging in the True Knowledge virtual conversations. Generally, they are going to happen in the evening around the same hour. And we'll be communicating around different topics related to the culture, economics, tech. We talking environmental justice. We talking a lot of different things. We talking a lot of different levels. And we wanted to start it with education. You know, we want to start with the foundation. We wanted to start it with knowledge. So here we are. And this is a great moment for us. And again, we're gonna keep this conversation rolling with Wordsworth. And all the folks that joined us, thank you so much. Everybody that chimed in on the chat, thank you so much. Daniel, Fabi, Cameron, Jay, Twan.
Wait, Bobby's there?
Fabi
I gotta
tapped
take
in.
a moment to shout out Fabi then, y'all. That's my big sister, and she was definitely the person who made me love hip hop, and she embodied that culture and she beat it into me. So thank you, Fabi. I know she's over there laughing and probably cussing me out at the same time right now. But yeah, shout out to Fabi. Nana, I know you're sitting there with her.
Shout out to Fabi.
Spring sessions begin with our orientation starting on February 27th. So any high school students or parents that want to get your students registered, our orientations are on February 27th, and the doors open at 4:30. You do have to be in person on site for the mandatory orientation for the spring sessions, and we hope to see all y'all there.
And with that being said, you know, people are always like, how do y'all do so much? Or like, they're always talking about how much we do. And the question is, how do we keep up? But go to our YouTube, go to our Instagram, follow us on Facebook. We are very protective of the youth experience, and that's for sure. That 10-week session that they're down here, we really make it all about them. But us doing these live streams, our public events, this is how we reach the families, the community, and this is how, you know, we represent all of us being True School here in Milwaukee and beyond. So appreciate you guys again. Everybody take care, enjoy the weekend. Happy Friday.